Councillor Paulson will take us through the budget.
Okay, thank you, Convener. Today I am presenting the Administration's proposed General Services Revenue and Capital Budget for 2026-27. This is a difficult budget, and I think I say this every year, but it's probably one of the most difficult I've been involved in since being elected in 2012. We continue to operate in one of the most challenging financial environments in recent history. We face a projected cumulative funding gap of £19.1 million by 29/30, and as we've heard, demand is increasing, particularly in education and social care, and funding settlements do not fully reflect rising costs. Total revenue expenditure for 26-27 is proposed at £181.2 million, with capital expenditure of just over £54 million. And while I often hear people say they receive very little in the way of services from the Council, behind that figure sits more than 700 services that shape daily life in Clackmannanshire. And that's educating our children, supporting vulnerable families, caring for older residents, collecting and disposing of waste, maintaining our roads and public spaces, and protecting our environment. Since 2010, this Council has delivered over £74 million in savings. This has required transformation on a significant scale. We have modernised services, embraced digital solutions, rationalised assets, and redesigned how we work. Those changes have not always been easy, but they have strengthened our financial resilience and protected priority services. However, we are now at a point where incremental efficiencies are no longer enough, and the choices before us are more fundamental. In setting this budget, we've had to consider the contribution asked of local residents. We are therefore proposing a council tax increase of 5.6%. We are acutely aware of the continuing cost of living pressures facing households, so we have sought to keep this increase as low as possible while recognising the scale of the financial challenge and our responsibility to sustain essential services. Council tax will contribute £30.5 million to our funding in the coming year, and even with the increase proposed, it funds only part of the £181.2 million required to deliver the services our community rely on. I would like to confirm that this decision is not taken lightly. It's about maintaining stability and protecting the services that matter most to people in our communities. Despite the financial context, this budget protects core investment in our children and families. We will invest £70.3 million in education and learning, £20.7 million in care and protection, and £31.6 million in adult social care through the Health and Social Care Partnership. We are strengthening additional supports needs provision with an additional £250,000, and we continue to invest in digital learning, early help services and whole family support. Our Family Wellbeing Partnership has been recognised nationally because it demonstrates what prevention looks like in practice, bringing services together to improve outcomes and reduce crisis intervention. This is a shared commitment across this chamber, ensuring that children in Clackmannanshire continue to grow up safe, supported and able to thrive. We continue to prioritise tackling poverty and supporting families. We have invested over £1 million in whole family support. We are continuing to expand childcare provision, and we provided targeted support through money advice, free school meals expansion, and direct financial assistance during school holidays. We will invest over £400,000 in solar panels within our housing stock to help reduce residents' energy costs. And I think everyone agrees that these actions reflect a preventative approach, one that seeks to reduce inequality while supporting long-term financial sustainability. And we continue to invest in the fabric of Clackmannanshire. Alongside our revenue budget, we are delivering a £54 million capital programme next year. The largest element is invested in the Wellbeing Hub in Lockheed School, a transformational project bringing health, education and community services together in one inclusive, energy-efficient campus. But this is not a single project programme. We're also investing in what residents see and use every day. There's £2.6 million invested in roads improvement next year, and that includes a £400,000 increase in our roads baseline in 26-27, which contributes to a £12.6 million of planned investment over 5 years. We will invest in street lighting, bridges, flood prevention, vehicle replacement, digital infrastructure, learning estate improvements, play parks, and the Forth Bank Recycling Centre. And I think it's worth noting that our recycling performance once again ranks the first in Scotland. I think this is a reflection of sustained investment, operational improvement, and of course, community participation. Through the City Region deal, regeneration projects and sustainable transport planning, we'll continue to strengthen our local economy and community infrastructure. The capital programme is not about ambition for its own sake. It's about maintaining essential infrastructure while investing responsibly in the long-term future of Clackmannanshire. The budget also recognises that transformation must continue. Our corporate priorities for 26-27 focus on digital and data transformation, delivering our asset strategy, developing a new workforce strategy, and progressing collaboration with neighbouring councils and partners. I think, as we've already discussed, transformation is not change for its own sake. It's about ensuring we can continue delivering high-quality services within a sustainable financial framework. This is not an easy budget, and I don't think any of us underestimate the pressures facing our communities or this council. I think the budget is balanced, it protects core services, and it invests in prevention. It also advances major capital projects. And it continues the transformation necessary for long-term sustainability. Across this chamber, we may have very different perspectives on how we reach decisions, but I believe we share a commitment to protecting the most vulnerable residents of Clackmannanshire and ensuring that our communities remain strong, resilient and ambitious. I recognise sincere thanks to our staff for their professionalism and dedication in increasingly complex circumstances. Their commitment to our communities makes the difference that we see every day. So I commend the budget to Council and hope we can approach today's discussion in a constructive and collaborative spirit that we are well known for here in Clackmannanshire. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Forson. Before we move on to do the formal move and second of the paper, you give the opportunity for Chamber to ask questions on that, either the councillors or any of the officers who may want to speak to elements of it. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask before? Councillor Klein.
Yes, thanks. Ellen, the part of the process that we get most involved in is towards the end of it, when we're looking at fine-tuning the final figures. And for that, one needs a kind of mindset about what's important, what's not important out there. And in order to educate myself for that purpose, I read all of the returns on the consultation process, all of them. And that gives you a mindset of what the thinking is out there. But sadly, it's only 203 responses out of how many? 5,000 or something like that. I mean, so was my mindset accurate or not? That's the worry. So, you know, when I'm going in to look at what I would maybe suggest moving around, wasn't too much as it turned out. I could have been misguided by that. I just wondering, what can we do to ensure that we get even 10%? You know, would something, anything would be better than, what, 0.5%?
You know, I couldn't agree with you more, particularly when you see some comments kind of in the public domain. And it seems like more people seem to want to make comments on social media than actually take part in the actual budget consultation process. I mean, since 2012, I think we've tried all sorts and none of it works. None of it encourages people to actually, you know, take part in the consultation process. We've gone out and did community events. We've, you know, directly engaged with people through kind of direct communications through their doors. We have, you know, put things online, which people tell us might make things easier. We've put consultations in each of the libraries, the community points, or shared facilities. I don't know what else we can do, other than just keep on trying and encourage people to, you know, kind of contribute. What we do find is that if there's an issue or there's a proposed saving that people feel really strongly about, they're much more likely to engage in the process. So from, and like yourself, I went through the responses. From what it seems to me that there probably isn't a lot that was included in the proposals that was too contentious this year. So people are less likely to get involved in a campaign. I think we know the biggest things were around council tax and were perhaps around the structure of the council and how that's funded. But I don't know what else we can do, Dennis, is the answer. I think as councillors, we all have a duty to, when we're out engaging with community groups or we're at community council meetings, to encourage people to take part. I was at Alloa Community Council on Tuesday night there, and there wasn't one question raised about the budget. There was lots of questions about other areas, so it probably says to me that it's not an area that was raising major concerns. But if there's any suggestions across the chamber from anybody else and what we can do, I think both the administration and I think officers would like to really explore anything else that we can potentially do.
You can ask a question of Kevin, perhaps, if he's here. Yeah. It's just on the, do you want, I'll give you time to get up. I'm all heart. Thanks, Kevin. It's on the capital programme. I noticed the spread of the vehicle replacement is 5 years of relatively minor expenditure and it ramps up markedly. Is that designed because of financial constraints, or is it a sort of tactical strategy? Are we running a risk of vehicles becoming beyond serviceable use because of underinvestment in the 5 years?
Thank you, Councillor Clackmannan, for that question. In terms of the profile, it will be the life cycle replacement. So when we hit the end of that period, we will have a series of significant investment required in terms of some of our fleet, particularly our grey fleet, which is more expensive. So that's the likes of our RCVs and within waste, etc., which are quite expensive vehicles. Through our capital programme, we purchase our vehicles. It's not a leasing scheme that we have, and that's where you'll see that increase in terms of requirements in that space. So we have a programme in which we are trying to manage the profile of that. And so we would hope that as we go forward, certainly beyond that 5 year period, and that's starting to trying to settle out rather than have the dips and spikes.
So you would maintain that's the required expenditure in the normal policy of replacement, and not stretching vehicles too long.
Thanks, Chair. It would be within the cycle that we've got in play, and we're adjusting for that. The other bit I would also add into the mix there is part aspect that we're looking at of any collaborative work, how we share assets, so that may come down in the future if there's others in which we are able to do that collectively.
Given the size of some of the capital investment required for one vehicle, why do you not consider leasing?
Because if we lease, we can't attribute it to the capital fund, and therefore it would come out of the revenue fund, and that's why the model in which we take forward in terms of the resources we have.
Is that not changing with IFRS 16, is it not?
Not in relation to yeah.
Thank you. You just answered that. So IFRS 16 leases is about the recognition of the leases on the balance sheet rather than how they're funded. So the funding position remains the same. So if it's a lease, it would.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any other questions? No. So, Councillor Forson, we heard your presentation of the paper. Take that as a formal move. And Councillor Lindsay to second the paper.
Thanks, convener. So we've obviously talked a lot about the context. That context presents significant challenges in relation to the demand for services by local people, the ability to deliver statutory services by officers, and the decisions we need to take as elected members. However, it's incumbent on us to take decisions responsibly in the best interests of people and in a financially sustainable way that ensures the council can continue to operate for future years. The budget that we're proposing today is attempting to deliver this, and although hugely challenging, does present exciting areas of investment that will support the delivery of our corporate priorities. Now, just to dwell on consultation, I wanted to touch on that anyway, and agree with Councillor Coyne around consultation, how we do that. I was, throughout this whole process, I suppose I've continued to listen, like him and like others, to people groups, local communities. I think we're all very good attenders at local community groups as well. And with these views, a central part of our deliberations and decision making, I've also been lucky enough to be in front of groups of young people. And I met two groups of young people at the Beaumar Centre and Alba Academy, and it was just to highlight that the information that obviously they're being presented with the full budget information and supported by others, but just that maturity, the inclusive thinking and ability to kind of weigh up budget options was really kind of exceptional, pretty inspiring. And those young people, if we can hopefully nurture that to a greater level and engage further, I think that's another way of how we try and, you know, improve the number of responses that we do get, but conscious, you know, we want to seek views from across the spectrum of ages and people and backgrounds. I've also taken the opportunity to talk with staff affected by the proposals, parents, other partners to seek views and concerns on the budget proposals, and just to thank Education for pulling that together in terms of the young people into groups. It was really valuable. I'm just going to touch from a people perspective. The council leaders obviously went holistically across the budget, as you would expect, and it was just an opportunity then for me to look at that people perspective. And all corners of the council are experiencing unprecedented pressure. However, the pressure from the people service in terms of the level of need and demand is pushing the council to its limit, as we've seen through the previous papers. The majority of the budget in this service is used for staffing, and therefore there's very little room for identifying further savings without impacting on statutory service that we must and should deliver, particularly for our younger people, our families and our most vulnerable. Now, over recent years and through this budget, we will continue to protect and invest in our services to people through investment of over 70 million in education and learning and over 20 million into care and protection, which encompasses social services for children and justice services as well. Now, with this investment, a few things to note. Now, we've protected teacher numbers, enabling us to have the best teacher-pupil ratios on mainland Scotland, only bettered by our island authorities. We've continued to be the only local authority in the whole of Scotland, including the islands, with a primary PE specialist in every single school. And I do shout about that because it's something that we've deliberately protected over a number of years. And we talk about what do we get in Clackmannanshire. That's something that we get that's entirely unique to Clackmannanshire and just a statement of intent in terms of the wellbeing of our young people. We provide swimming lessons to every P5 child in Clackmannanshire. And we do that as we prepare for an enhanced programme within the Wellbeing Hub once that is operational over the coming years. This year we're providing 250,000 to strengthen our additional support needs, an area of high demand, but again an area that we know we need in addition to that. We're investing in our ELC staff and establishments to expand that early years offer, including 265,000 of capital improvements. And we've leveraged additional funding for childcare over the last 3 years as well. And I think that's the important thing that we highlight here, is that we've got investment of the cash here and that we've got at hand, but we've been leveraging significant funding through many of the programmes and partnerships that we've discussed already as well. We continue to invest in one-to-one digital devices, again a further 250,000 each year, to ensure again that we're ahead of the game and our young people have digital devices available at all ages. We're investing in a strong network of early intervention and accessible mental health supports to strengthen wellbeing and build resilience of our young people. And we're maintaining and strengthening partnerships, as I've alluded to, with many key stakeholders, multi-agency providers, through Strive, through Family Wellbeing Partnership and other partners such as the Vardy Foundation and MCR Pathways, who are investing and supporting our care experienced young people across Clackmannanshire. Now, just turning briefly to the capital programme and really, again, a bit of a people focus in relation to that. We talk a lot about the £76 million investment into Lochie School and the wellbeing facility. Has been a fundamental part of our capital plan. I think we'd all agree that it's really pleasing to see the progress that we're now seeing with that particular building. The school project is supported by around 10 million of Scottish Government investment, and that's through the Learning Estate Investment Programme. And on top of that, we're receiving additional investment through other partners as well, including Sport Scotland, in excess of 800,000. And we continue to look for increased investment into that as well. Now, this investment will obviously deliver modern, accessible and sustainable leisure, learning and wellbeing facilities for Clackmannanshire and help attract more visitors to the county, as well as support our most vulnerable. Now, at a time when many local authorities are either closing facilities for good or struggling to repair dated buildings, we're investing for the future. In terms of our wider learning estate, work is already underway to develop a new learning estate strategy alongside the wider estate management strategy. And this work is critical to ensuring that our learning environments are fit for modern education, operating efficiently, as sustainable and safe. And just to finish, so my thanks really to all the staff for the work they do on a daily basis, not just in relation to the budget, but everything they do on a daily basis to improve the lives of people across Clackmannanshire. We're genuinely grateful for the services that you deliver for all of us in Clackmannanshire. Just again, two areas. Thanks to the members around the room. I think Ellen's highlighted it for the engagement that we get, not just in the budget process, but at other opportunities throughout the year. And I think we do appreciate your openness, feedback, and willingness to give us your views and hopefully support. I think we've got quite a harmonious council. Maybe that's a wee headline that could come away. I think if we look at the 32 local authorities, I would struggle to find a council that probably works as collectively as we do. So I think that's something to celebrate. And now you're going to have to support the budget now after making comments like that. But yeah, just to thank certainly for your feedback, and it is helpful for us in shaping the investment that we've made as well. Thanks to Ellen. I think as council leader, it's clear that she's front and centre of everything that we do and the focus that we have as a group, and how she fights and shouts for Clackmannanshire. I think that was evident again today. But also colleagues for the huge amount of work that they put into their portfolios. It's an incredible amount of additional meetings that we do. That weight of responsibility that we have is immense as an administration. However, that's what we sign up to, and we need to get on with it. But we as an administration are absolutely committed to delivering the very best outcomes for Clackmannanshire, and I hope that's reflected in the decisions that we've taken with this budget. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. The budget paper now is up for discussion. We've got Councillor Rennie to be followed by Councillor Moore.
Thanks for that, and you'll be grateful to know that we're supporting the budget after what you just said. Yeah, so the Labour group are committed to supporting the budget. Obviously, we realise the challenges that are there for the people of Clackmannanshire, and we fully reflect that the fact that any kind of council tax rise would be really difficult for anybody. But we would have looked, as you can imagine, for any wriggle room that we could possibly find, and there's absolutely nothing, and we realised that there was nowhere to go. But we also realised this shouldn't be a political process, and that's really, really important. I think one thing we've learned and we've developed together as a group, really, of councillors is that people's lives shouldn't be about politics. You're talking about things that affect human beings and individuals, and it shouldn't be about politics. If it becomes about politics, we'll lose what we're here for. I think all of us came into this room because we wanted to make change. We didn't want to make things worse for people. So I think often that's not really recognised out in the wider public. We did all get together before the budget to discuss and get the best kind of way forward. And I think that's been really, really important. And I appreciate that from the administration in terms of engaging with us to ensure that we were all working from the same page on that. And I think, as was said, that probably isn't replicated in many other places, and it can become very combative. I'm on the barriers to Oslo, and what's been very tangible across Scotland is people just not wanting to be councillors anymore because it's such a challenging and awful environment. And I would like to put on the record that I think the human attacks that are happening on social media, do people recognise that we're dealing with human beings who have got wellbeing concerns? And we're tackling and attacking individuals both on the council level and on the staff level, which is highly unacceptable. And for me, having worked in the field of mental health for as many years as I did, it's highly inappropriate. And I want to get that on the record, because I'm saying that the Labour group are not just playing politics here. We're not just going to go against this budget for the sake of we're in an election year. And nor are we going to join in any of those kind of attacks on people. They need to stop. So I just wanted to say that today. I think it gives me the opportunity to do that. I think we've done everything we can, and I hope that's recognised in the wider environment. But again, I'd also like to echo what others have said in terms of the hard work by the staff. Even though we're in the opposition, the staff engage really well with us and really give us so much information and so much help in terms of fulfilling our duties as councillors across the board. With a fantastic staff team who always go the extra mile for us, and I think we need to acknowledge that. It's not an easy job. It can't be easy standing up there answering questions by us all the time, and you know, I think we need to acknowledge that. But certainly, ultimately, I'll just say the Labour group will support the budget.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Law.
Thanks. I just want to say supporting the investment in the health and social care while recognising the very real challenge we face. For 26-27, we're passporting 31.643 million to the Clackmannanshire and Stirling Health and Social Care Partnership, which is an increase on the previous year. We also earmarked an additional contribution of 2.824 million to address the projected overspend for 25-26. This is a significant and necessary commitment and made in an extremely constrained financial environment. Deep pressures across health and social care remain substantial. More than 1,240 adults every week rely on care at home or within care home settings in Clackmannanshire. These pressures are not easing. Importantly, this investment is not just about maintaining services. We're supporting the move to a new social work information system, which will help reduce inefficiency, free up staff capacity, and allow professionals to focus more of their time on direct care and support. This approach aligns with the partnership's strategic commissioning plan, which focuses on prevention, integration, and delivering the right care at the right time. These priorities are essential, and we are to manage a growing demand more sustainably. However, we should be clear, even with this investment, financial resources and service demand are not equal. Supporting this budget does not ignore that reality, it acknowledges it, and it responds in the most responsible way to us. And just, did you say we need a song about working together? I was thinking that working together, changing the strapline instead of more than you imagine, we work together, which I think is really important. So maybe we get a t-shirt and brand that out. Yeah. Put that in the budget next year, the revenue for that. There we go. Sorry.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Hamilton to be followed by Councillor Bennett.
Thanks, Convener. I'd just like to acknowledge the ongoing transformation work within the budget. Even with this challenging outlook with the financial pressures we're all very aware of, there is still genuinely positive work happening across Clackmannanshire. One area that shows this is our whole family support work. Even in a tough budget year, teams across services are still coming together around families who need that joined up help. It's early intervention in the way it's meant to be, less crisis, more prevention, and families feeling like they're being supported. I also want to acknowledge the ongoing commitment we have to our third sector partners. They're a huge part of this preventative work, often the first people families speak to and the ones who stay involved long after the immediate issue has passed. We're still transforming how we work, still supporting families earlier, and still building strong partnerships that make a real difference on the ground. And that's something worth recognising while we continue to make difficult decisions. Like my colleagues, I'd like to thank the senior leadership team, all staff for their ongoing work and commitment to Clackmannanshire. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bennett.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I'll try and do it without stuttering. The we've been having a discussion about it earlier, and the part of the cross-party working means that council can achieve that a much easier way to achieve what we're looking for. It stops any fractious debates, and for the last 9.5 years, we've been getting this good debates without getting het up or anything like that. So it works very well. I think one of the main things that happened a couple of years ago was Bill Mason. He at the very start was always a gentleman and would never go into situations where he would have a fight or anything like that. So it's nice to actually get his name in again, because as I say, we all really loved him. I think he was a lovely man, and his legacy will carry on. And we approve of the budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Bonney. Councillor McTaggart, followed by Councillor Errol.
Thanks, convener. And like everybody else, I'd just like to thank all the staff involved in bringing this budget today. We know how hard it's been in the run up to this budget. It's been, the staff must have been pulling their hair out, because we kept on going back and back and back as an administration, and my colleagues in the administration have worked endless hours to get to this conclusion. This hasn't been an overnight process. This has been months and months of work for the staff as well. And I just want to thank them for that. Additionally, one of the points that was made in earlier papers and one that's in the budget paper, £289,000 is all the income that comes from 1% council tax. So can you imagine how much we would have to increase the council tax to fill the coffers that we need to deliver the services? So this kind of the collaboration work, the stuff that was mentioned in the Tom paper, etc., is crucial for us to consider how we're going to move forward and make these services work for the people of Clackmannanshire without putting an additional financial burden on them through council tax increases. And that was our plan for this budget, was to keep the council tax increase as low as possible, recognising that people are struggling, while protecting services. And I think the work around the transformation, around the Tom, the collaboration, etc., I know it's not going to happen overnight, but it's work in progress and work towards, hopefully, continued excellent services. A point that Graham made about the education service. We've got a fabulous education service, and as Graham pointed out, the best in mainland Scotland on a number of areas. If we had the same recognition as this tiny local authority that the islands get, can you imagine how successful this council would be? We're fighting upstream all the time, but we're still managing to come out as an excellent service. I'll say it, an excellent service with excellent staff, excellent councillors, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Errol, followed by Councillor Quinn.
Follow that one. As one of the exceptional councillors that we've got around the table, I was going to say to you this morning about what can happen if we all get our heads together, leave the party politics at the door. It'd be great. What a great world it would be if we could just do that, wouldn't it? We could sit around the table like grown ups and make collective decisions. I remember 4 years ago when just after the last elections, we talked about this very situation. But with the dramatic situation we are in with the budget at the moment, I can see there, as I said, there is no wriggle room. There's nothing you can do. Absolutely no wriggle room at all. But people have to realise this. We have to tell that, we have to get that message out there. But to say to the people, we'd love to do all these things. But we can't do it. Our hands are, the Scottish Government could help us to stop tying their hands and allow us as councillors to make these decisions. Because we know the area that we're representing. We know what the concerns are out there. I'm sorry, if you're sitting in Edinburgh, in an ivory tower in Edinburgh, you don't know what's happening here. Because they're concerned. The leaders group, because I'm sure, will let them know exactly what's going on. I know the leaders group in Scotland do a tremendous amount of work. And I do a lot of good work. And the leader does come back and lets us know what the situation is. And let's be thankful for that. But remember, it's not all bad news. There have been some really good stories that we need to tell the people out there about. Not just the people in this room. And I'm hoping that the press will pick up on this. There are a lot of good things happening in Clackmannanshire with limited funds. The staff behind the windows, behind all these decisions, people don't see what goes on behind it. And we must thank the staff for all the hard work that does go into these things. It is probably the worst budget and the worst situation that I can ever remember as a councillor. I mean, it's frightening. But as Councillor McTaggart says, let's keep fighting. That's all we can do, is keep fighting, don't give in. And hopefully this council will continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Quinn, to be followed by Councillor Martin.
Hello. I just want to say I will be supporting the budget as well. And I'm glad that we've kind of got this cross-party support again, like we've often had budget. I think it does send a good message to the public as well when we do this, because you know a lot of people are kind of put off politics, and the kind of politicians in particular. And I'm quite proud when I go around and talk to people and they ask questions about the council and we have chats and that. I often say to people, we have a good relationship here. You know, all of us councillors, we talk to each other, we get together when there's the difficult decisions. Maybe we sit down, we have a chat, we look at issues, and we're willing to listen to each other and to sit down and try and do what we think is best. And we don't always agree in the end, but I genuinely believe that most of the time we're all trying to do what we think is best for the people here. And that's always been my kind of approach to things that I like to take. I like to try and engage and be constructive and not just oppose things for the sake of opposing things. I'm going to occasionally oppose things, but a lot of time I feel like we're giving input and we're being heard. All of us councillors are being heard, and it's being taken on board. Now we should send a message to the public as well. But the fact that it seems like we're all kind of agreeing on this is not because there's some kind of conspiracy that we're all in on. We're all part of the same Illuminati branch or something like that. It's like we're not. It's like if there was things here that could be done a whole lot better, one of us would have put an amendment up and we would have spotted it, we would have seen it, and we would have had a debate about it, and maybe we would have decided to do something different. But that's not the case, and like we could have been through this 1,000 times. We've got 18 councillors here, we've all got different backgrounds and experience, but we could have gone through this another 1,000 times. And there wouldn't have been any meaningful difference, I think, to this budget. I think if you want a budget that's going to keep the council tax increase as low as possible and protect the most important parts of the services that we provide as a council, this is it. And I, challenge anybody, if you don't agree with it, it's like, okay, well, you come and tell us. That's what the consultation is for. Come and tell us what we've missed. Come and tell us what you're seeing that we're all blind to, because I don't think anyone can. I think this is as good as it gets right now, and I hope the public will see that, and we'll be able to have some constructive conversations with people when they come to us that, you know, we don't just increase council tax for fun because we like to increase council tax. We're doing it for a reason. It's to protect the things that people say that they need and they want. It's to provide the services that people use and that are really beneficial, especially to people that are vulnerable and you know, that are people that are living in poverty and the people that need them. And that's why we're doing these things. And that's why you know, I'll be supporting this paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Martin?
I'll keep it really brief. Just to say when we got the budget papers up, obviously no one likes paying council tax and increases, but I just checked out. There's a number of councils that are going to be increasing their council tax and be a good bit more than here. So basically, just to say thank you to those involved for their efforts in keeping this as low as they possibly could. And also, I would recommend reading the supplement to the financial bulletin 26/27, because it's frightening to read that, you know. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further contributions to debate, Councillor Bossett?
Yeah, just as provost, I'd just like to thank all councillors for their contributions to the budget. We have done our absolute best to set the council tax at the lowest level possible whilst continuing to deliver effective services. Thanks have to go to staff, but I'd particularly like to thank our spokespersons who've highlighted the benefits and what we're still delivering for Clackmannanshire. There's no doubt there are challenges ahead. We are eating into our reserves. We've got the Health and Social Care Partnership to deal with, which is a real challenge, not just for us, but our neighbouring authorities. Our Chief Executive has outlined the targeting operation model, trying to take forward, not trying to drive Clackmannanshire forward to continue to deliver services for our people. I'm sure there have been, and I know there has been sleepless nights on this budget, but I do believe it's a good budget, and the fact that consensus around the table, I thank you all for that, and continue to demonstrate that as a small council we can be effective and reactive and deliver for our local people. So thank you for that, and thank you for everyone involved.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Forson, you want an opportunity to sum up?
Yeah, I will sum up briefly. I do really welcome the constructive discussions we've had, not just on the budget paper today, but on the wider agenda. I think it's pretty clear that there's been lots of conversations had. We've had lots of discussions around about potential budget options, and has been highlighted. I think that does bear fruit when we can manage to come together and agree areas. I'd like to put on thanks, put on record really my thanks to my team, who have been challenged, I think, over the last 6 months in relation to their portfolio areas to bring forward, you know, efficiencies and savings, and to try and make sure that the services that we're delivering as best we possibly can within the financial constraints that we're operating in. I think sometimes that can be quite difficult and challenging, but hopefully, you know, not too much, but you know, the work that goes on is really appreciated. I've already, you know, put on record thanks to our staff who work in challenging circumstances and don't often deserve the hard time that they get from the members of the public. I think as politicians, you are putting yourself up for public scrutiny, and you know, you have to take it on the chin, but very often staff get a tough time that they don't deserve. I just want to recognise that. So yeah, it's great to have a consensual budget, and I think we'll be one of the few councils where a budget is unanimously agreed. We have managed to keep council tax at one of the lowest levels in Scotland this year, which I hope will be appreciated by the public. That doesn't come without risks, and it doesn't come without challenges. And we'll need to be very cognizant of that as we move on through the year. But yep, thanks to everyone around the chamber. And yeah, let's move onwards to the next year. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So the paper has a whole series of things that asks us to know and to agree. You'll be glad to know I'm going to read through them all one by one. But what we've been asked to know is at 221 down to 225. What we've been asked to approve is covered from 21 to 218. I'll be happy to approve the budget paper.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for your attendance and contributions today.
Yeah. Absolutely.